was the summer of 2019 when I decided to test my limits with a solo expedition into the dense, towering forests of the Pacific Northwest. At 28, with a handful of trips under my belt, I felt prepared, craving an escape from the city's noise and endless emails for pure, uninterrupted solitude. I drove 3 hours out, navigated a narrow dirt road until it roughened, and parked at a lonely trailhead. My pack held all the essentials: tent, sleeping bag, food, water, first aid, a flashlight. I was ready, or so I thought. The hike in was an immersion into another world, a narrow, winding path under a canopy of colossal firs and moss-covered rocks. The air fresh and damp. The deeper I went, the quieter it became, until I found my perfect sanctuary, a small clearing beside a cold, swift-moving creek. I spent the afternoon setting up camp, filtering water, gathering wood, noting but dismissing broken branches and flattened grass as signs of harmless wildlife. Night fell like a curtain. My campfire crackled, casting a fragile circle of light as I ate and settled in, lulled by the trickling water. Then, at midnight, the peace shattered. A sharp crack like a heavy branch snapping underfoot echoed right outside my camp. My heart slammed against my ribs. I grabbed my flashlight, swept the beam, and saw nothing. The forest held its breath. Minutes later, I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, crushing through the underbrush just beyond the firelight. This wasn't an animal's gait. It was heavier, more controlled, like a person walking with careful intent. I zipped the tent, smothered the fire, and inside that thin nylon shelter, I felt utterly exposed. The footsteps began to circle. They'd stop, pause, and I once heard a low, muffled grunt. They moved away, then back again, circling my tent in the dark for what felt like hours, never approaching, but never leaving. At dawn, the siege ended. I unzipped the tent to a silent, brightening forest and a cold, dead fire. And there, in the soft earth, were the proof, fresh footprints. Massive, heavy impressions, human-like but bigger, wider, and sunk deep as if made by someone well over 200 pounds. They circled my entire campsite, venturing into the trees but always looping back. I packed with trembling hands and fled, jumping at every rustle on the trail back to my car. Locked inside, heart pounding, I called the rangers. Their response chilled me. Reports of people living illegally in those woods, hiding from the law. The fear that stayed with me wasn't of a ghost or a monster, it was the real, tangible threat of another human, unknown and dangerously close, lurking in the shadows just beyond my firelight. I never went back. I decided to go camping alone in the summer of 2018, seeking an escape to a forest about 50 miles north of my hometown, somewhere quiet, away from the crowded sights. I packed my old backpack with the basics: a small tent, sleeping bag, canned food, water, a flashlight, and a pocket knife. I arrived late afternoon to a clear sky and a sun-warmed forest dense with pine and oak. Finding a perfect clearing near a gentle stream, I set up camp, soothed by the sounds of birds and flowing water. But as I worked, the forest fell unnervingly still. No wind, no birdsong. A tightness settled in my chest, a feeling that something was off, but I shrugged it off. Night came, calm and simple, filled with the crackle of my campfire. Later, curiosity led me to explore upstream with my flashlight. That's when I found them. Fresh, unfamiliar footprints too large to be mine or any animal I knew. They led to a clearing with a broken branch, discarded trash, a half-empty bottle sign someone had been there recently. My mind raced with possibilities. A lost hiker, a hunter. Suddenly, the solitude felt vulnerable. As I hurried back, I heard rustling behind me, footsteps matching my pace. I shone my light, saw nothing but shifting shadows, and felt a cold sweat on my back. Back at camp, the new, chilling evidence awaited, fresh footprints right at the edge of my sight. Panic set in. I grabbed my knife and then a sharp snap of a twig nearby. I turned my flashlight and caught a glimpse of movement, something retreating into the shadows. That was it. I packed in record time, my hands shaking in the cold air, and hurried toward my car with rustling noises following me, always just out of sight. The relief of reaching my vehicle was overwhelming. The next day, rangers confirmed my deepest fear. The area was known for illegal hunting and poaching, for people who stayed hidden and dangerous. That trip taught me the forest is wild not just because of nature, but because of the people who hide within it. The silence, the footprints, the unseen watcher. It was a stark warning. Sometimes the smartest choice you can make is to run. Safety matters more than solitude. In the summer of 2017, I ventured deep into the forests of northern Maine near Baxter State Park, craving real solitude after a tough year. I was 28, and I picked a spot far from any marked trail. My pack was carefully stocked: a cold-rated sleeping bag, food for 3 days, a map, compass, and a first aid kit. I hiked 5 miles into a serene clearing beside a slow-moving stream, the light golden through the tall pines. The setting was peaceful, immense. After dinner, I sat by my crackling fire, tired but happy, and turned in for the night. Around midnight, I woke to a sound, faint rustling, like leaves underfoot. It stopped, then returned an hour later louder, unmistakably footsteps. Slow, heavy, and carefully placed, as if trying to be quiet but failing. My mind raced. A bear? But the steps were too deliberate. Unzipping the tent just a crack, I peered out at the dying firelight. Then I saw it. A large, humanoid figure crouched low about 20 feet away, dressed in dark clothes. My breath caught. I shone my flashlight, and the beam briefly lit a face, rough skin, a scruffy beard, tired eyes with a strange intensity. The man froze and vanished into the shadows. I spent the night awake, listening as the footsteps circled, never coming closer than a few dozen feet. At dawn, he was gone. On my hike out, I found fresh, deep human footprints heading my direction. The rangers later said it was unusual but not unheard of, likely a hunter or trapper living alone out there. This experience taught me the woods aren't empty. They're woven with unknown lives and stories. I still love camping, but I carry that memory as a warning to always respect the wilderness and the silent, watching lives within it. In the summer of 2019, I took a solo trip deep into Pennsylvania's Allegheny National Forest. I was 27, seeking a break from city buzz, and chose a remote clearing 2 miles off the main trail. The forest was a dense carpet of pines and oaks, alive with the hum of insects and rustling leaves. I set up my tent on uneven, root-scattered ground and built a fire, my anchor in the vast wilderness. As night fell, the sounds shifted. Daytime birds gave way to crickets and owls. But around 10 p.m., as the fire died to embers, a new sound cut through, a low, dragging noise from beyond the tree line. It was heavy, slow, and purposeful, not a howl, but a scrape. Then, footsteps, pacing the clearing's edge. I stayed still, heart racing, options flashing through my mind. My pocket knife, my phone with no signal. The dragging stopped, replaced by a sharp branch snap to my right. Then a crunch behind me. I froze, gripping my knife. Then I heard it. Low, uneven breathing, right outside my tent flap. Minutes passed in terror. A sudden rustle and a loud crack. The person ran into the woods. At first light, I found the evidence. Heavy, booted footprints with drag marks. I packed immediately and hiked out, every sound behind me feeling like pursuit. Rangers confirmed my worst fears. The area had dangerous, armed illegal hunters and poachers they'd been tracking for months. That night taught me the wilderness isn't just trees and animals. It hides people who don't want to be found. It demands more than a love for adventure. It demands caution, awareness, and deep respect. I never camped alone again. I still remember that trip to northern Michigan near the Hiawatha National Forest like it was yesterday. I was 24, fresh out of college and confident, seeking a remote disconnect. The first day was perfect. A clearing by a creek, a crackling fire under a starry sky. The second day, a thick fog rolled in. Hiking deeper, I noticed an eerie quiet and then a trail of footprints in the mud. Larger than mine, human, leading off trail. An unease settled in. Returning to camp, I found my fire pit disturbed, ashes scattered. The feeling of being watched became a weight. That night, inside my tent, I heard it. A slow, deliberate crunching circling my shelter. I shone my light, saw nothing, but the dread was paralyzing. The next morning, the proof was undeniable. By my fire pit was a small pile of branches arranged in a crude triangle. On nearby trees, fresh, deep scratches and symbols were carved into the bark. This was a message. I packed in a frenzy, and on the trail out, the footprints were everywhere, sometimes crossing my path. At one point, a low growl sent me running until I reached my car. I told myself it was a hunter, but the symbols, the silent circling, the territorial marks, it felt like something more. It changed how I see the woods. The scariest things aren't myths. They're real people, unknown threats marking their territory in ways you weren't meant to understand. That trip taught me to respect the wild and be forever cautious. In the summer of 2013, I embarked on a solo trip to a remote lake in Washington's Cascade Mountains. I was 28, seeking a full disconnect, no phone, no internet. After a 4-hour drive and an hour-long hike, I arrived at a stunning, still lake encircled by silent fir trees. The setup was peaceful, the night alive with crickets and owls. Then, as I was about to turn in, I heard it. A soft, rhythmic crunching. Footsteps, circling the clearing. Once, then twice. Then, a low, heavy breathing that sounded human. I shone my flashlight toward the trees and caught a glimpse of a tall, thin figure moving between the trunks before it vanished. The footsteps faded. I spent a nervous night, jumping at every sound. In the morning, I reported it to a ranger. His concern was palpable. There had been reports of someone stalking campers, a man living rough who watched from a distance. He advised me to stick to popular sites. That realization hit hard, how close I'd come to a danger I never saw. The figure could have been harmless or not. I never found out, but the peaceful solitude I craved now felt like an unacceptable risk. The woods had shown me that the most unsettling danger is the unknown presence of another human, watching silently from the shadows. That knowledge changed everything. I set out near Mount Rainier in the summer of 2013, deep in the Pacific Northwest where cell service vanished. I was 28, experienced but never this alone. I camped by a small creek, the air thick with the smell of pine. The night was calm until the fire died to embers. Then, rustling. Footsteps in dry leaves. They circled the clearing, deliberate and slow. I checked my knife, kept my light off, and waited. The sounds never left. Around 3 a.m., a new sound, the careful snap of a branch from across the creek. I flicked on my flashlight and swept the beam. There a shadow, too tall for an animal, hunched in dark clothes, slipped between two trees and was gone. My gut said this was someone hiding, not hunting. I waited, clutching my knife until dawn. Packing up at first light, I found fresh, worn boot prints near the creek, matching where the figure disappeared. I didn't look back. Driving away, the lesson cemented itself. The fear wasn't about ghosts. It was about real people. People who could be watching, hiding, waiting. The wilderness has a darker side, one you don't see until you're alone and realize the scariest thing out there is another human being. Since then, I never go without telling someone exactly where I'll be. In the summer of 2018, desperate for silence from a stressful Minneapolis job, I camped alone at a remote state park lake. I was 26. The first night was peaceful. The second night, a faint rustling outside my tent became a constant, circling presence. I peeked out with my flashlight and saw nothing but then fresh, large human footprints right by the tent flap. My heart jumped. The rustling circled for hours before stopping. At dawn, the footprints were still there, leading into the woods. I packed quickly, my senses on high alert, but as I reached my car, the final, chilling piece of evidence awaited. A small, folded note under my wiper blade. In block letters, it read, "I saw you." I locked the doors and drove away, my heart racing. Back in the city, the explanation of a prank didn't comfort me. The footsteps, the circling, that note, it was all too personal. I never camped alone again. The woods are beautiful, but they can hide people who watch and follow without a sound. The silence you seek can be broken by more than animals. That experience taught me to respect the wild, but also to be wary. Not every scary story needs ghosts. Sometimes the real fear is knowing you're not as alone as you think, and that someone is watching, waiting for a moment you'll never see coming. In the summer of 2016, I sought peace in the deep wilderness of Minnesota's Superior National Forest. I was 26. I found a perfect, isolated clearing beside a glass-still lake. The first night was serene. The second day, hiking back, I felt something shift. The forest grew quieter. Then I noticed trail markers were missing. I was lost. Panic crept in as the sun set fast. I finally stumbled back to camp at dark, only to find my tent torn and my backpack gone. Then I heard the low growl. Bears, a small family, emerged from the shadows, drawn by my food. I remembered the ranger's advice: don't run. I climbed onto a fallen log and waited, shivering, as they circled below. My flashlight died. I was trapped in the dark. When dawn came, the bears had gone. I salvaged what I could and called for help as soon as I got signal. The ranger explained the bears had likely raided my camp while I was lost. That trip was a raw, terrifying lesson in respect for wildlife. I wasn't just a visitor. I was a guest in a place where animals are real, dangerous, and unpredictable. The memory of being lost, scared, and alone with wild bears nearby is something I'll never forget. It was real and it changed everything. In the summer of 2019, I camped alone in the dense woods of northern Vermont. I was 26, seeking a test of self-reliance. I found a remote clearing by a creek, the air clean and sharp. The first night was peaceful. On the second night, around midnight, I woke to a soft crunching outside. Footsteps, slow, careful, moving through dry leaves. They stopped right outside my tent. I froze, clutching my knife. Then, a low scrape against the tent fabric. Something was dragging against the nylon, right where I lay. I could smell a strong, musky odor like a person living rough. Then something sharp struck the tent wall. Once, twice, testing it. A low, rough breathing filled the air. The presence stayed for 10 agonizing minutes before retreating. At dawn, I found the evidence. Small, rough footprints and a crude branch shelter nearby. I reported it to the rangers, who later said it was likely a homeless man avoiding contact. But in those hours, I had no idea what I was facing. The fear wasn't about monsters. It was about a real person, desperate and close enough to touch, hidden in the dark. I still camp, but never that deep without someone knowing where I am. Being alone in the forest feels safe until it doesn't.